Let's not be disrespectful. This is episode 1. Let's not be disrespectful. How dare you use a Korean artist's performance as an outro? I really tried my best not to be disappointed in the show, but alas, here we are. I have stayed away from K-pop netizen shenanigans for like 6 to 8 years. And when I saw this, I was like, no, no, I can't be silent. Hi, my name is Sammy, and this is Everything Eventually, where we eventually talk about everything. And today we are starting off with Kpopped. Kpopped is a Apple TV show that is being produced by Meg Thee Stallion, who is an iconic female rapper, globally recognized. She is co-hosting it with Psy, who is an iconic Korean artist, globally recognized. Oppa Gangnam Style, come on. The premise of the show is that you will have these Western icons who are going to come and join Korean artists in order to remix their songs and K-popify them. So what happens is the Korean group splits up into two teams, and then each side gets like connected with the Western artist, and they recreate that Western artist song, and then they compete with the other Western artist and their iconic song. The audience in Seoul, South Korea, they get a chance to vote, and then the winner just wins. Now, I just want to get started with the disclaimers because I've been on this internet for too long not to. First of all, I am a second gen stan. I also am very nuanced when it comes to my opinions in K-pop because I'm not just tied to K-pop. I have invested time, I have invested a lot of effort in getting to understand Korean culture as well as other countries in the Eastern region. Secondly, I have been on YouTube for a very long time, okay? Sometimes I will pick up a mic and I'll say some things and then delete the videos. I just want to make it very clear I am very comfortable on this internet with the delete and the block button. Third of all, I don't want my criticism for this show to be turned into like me hating on a black queen or me hating on Korean society or me hating on the Western icons. This is not what it is. I have been on this earth too long and too invested to just kind of let this slide. And I feel like the more we give our opinions and thoughts with good intent, then I think we can have better outcomes in the future. Maybe Megan or somebody on the production team will stumble upon this and be like, you know what, we can do better. But if we sit here and we just take what we're given to us, change won't come. So I'm going to digress. Oh, no, I'm not. Because my last thing is I am not a script girly. So I will be all over the place. I will do my best to go episode by episode and I'll like recap the episode for you. But I can get on tangents as well. Just be ready for me to talk to you like a friend. You better put your seatbelt on. I'm about to start the car. We're about to ride this. And let's get started with episode 1. Jeez Louise. Now we're here. First and foremost, let me get comfortable in my chair. First and foremost, because the notes were bolded. Episode 1. aespa's Next Level was used in the intro. Why not use a song from the people performing? Episode 1. We're getting aespa. aespa. I just twitched a little. So sidebar, the fact that they would use aespa in the first place, okay, as if like they are currently the most iconic popping thing in K-pop, that was definitely a miss. I would have done Illit or even another boy group like NCT or Stray Kids. Literally, there's just so many other girls who are out there who are active and who are like more recognizable when it comes to K-pop. But using aespa's Next Level, I was like, okay. I really feel like this also was a missed moment to put Billie's song. Like I hadn't even watched the episode and like 3 seconds in, I was like, what the fuck is the production team doing? Definitely Billie's song could have been used as an intro to K-pop even because they had a really unique sound. Like it still sounds K-pop, but it was like, it would have just been more interesting if Billie had been used or somebody else who was actually there had been used. Like it would have been nice to have a moment where they were like, oh, this band is the one that did the song that kicked off the show or something, or this band's music kicked off the episode. That wasn't there. I was shaking in my boots. I said, you know what? Let me have a moment of silence for any of the hope that I had before, because I was like, it can only go down from here. Continuing on, we have Meg Thee Stallion, who is doing her intro with the aespa music in the back. She's talking about K-pop. She's talking about how great it is. She's like, oh my God, this is my shit. So then the Western icons are announced. Patti Labelle with Lady Marmalade, and then Megan Thee Stallion with Savage. Megan is still going on. She's like, I'm a Texas girl in Korea. I'm doing K-pop stuff. Then we get introduced to the host of the actual like event, which is Son Soo-jung. And she actually, I remember her from the show Servant on Apple TV. by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. It's really good. So we get into some keywords. This is where things start to get really for me because I pay attention. We start getting some words like get K-popped. Keep that in mind for what the premise of the show is. Then we have Billie is going to split into two teams. And I wrote that it's time to split. And there's this whole awkward splitting thing done on the stage where the girls are walking back and forth. Now, this kind of like was weird for me because I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. It's just like shadows. It's not even like clear. Like they don't show their facial expressions. Like if the girls were like intimidating each other or like if they were brushing shoulders, you don't see that. You see shadows walking up and down on stage like it's production crew. Like they're setting up. It's nothing cute, okay? And then we like see the floor split into two. So like the girls have split into two teams. One side went to Patti Labelle and the other side went to Miss Megan Thee Stallion. Then we get into more cringe comments from Megan that I saw. This has never been done before. Have you seen it? Because I haven't. And I'm like, Megan, I need you to be very careful with how you phrase these things because I am, again, a Gen 2 stan and you will not give these people who have been into K-pop post 2020, even post 2018, some of y'all Gen 4 people, y'all act like history don't exist. But I'm just saying, I just don't like it when people say, this is the first time. And they're not specific because you need to say, this is the first time that a Black woman from Houston has made a TV show, like layers, because we have had so many times where Western artists, popular artists, rappers, we have Western academia who have worked and employed Korean popular culture, rap, whatever have you artists. This narrative that we have in America of like discovery, like this has been going on. Thank you for your contribution, but please be very careful when you're throwing out these first times, never been seen before, because it's not. You are a variation of something that has already been in the works. It may not be this, and maybe this is just production needing a narrative because I felt like this show was lacking one. That really triggered me because I was like, I cannot have this every episode. I cannot have Megan trying to tell me that she is no. There have been many before you that have done so many great things with Korean artists and vice versa. Okay, so continuing on, we get into the rehearsals. The rehearsals where the music is already done. This is something that I wanted to make sure the show showed was the collaboration artistically between the Western artists and the Korean artists. Let me tell you why if you don't already know. Korean entertainment companies with their Korean artists, they hold them close. You are not just gonna freely willy-nilly go and do whatever you want with my company and my brand. This is also something that is discussed within Korean culture itself. A lot of the commercial artists that you will see are living by like very stringent rules unless they have paid their companies back in double for the investment. And not just because of how, and I'll speak specifically for Korean entertainment industry is not like the Western entertainment industry, where basically here in the West, if you have the talent or you're just that confident enough in yourself or your parents have enough money, you can just go make music, do what you want, become a star, rise to commercial success, right? Or we have those people who are industry plants. But sometimes the industry plants, typically they're known for not giving us anything. But in Korea, it's a little bit different. When you want to be a commercial Korean popular artist with the backing of SM Entertainment, JYP, YG Entertainment, which is kind of falling a little bit, and Hybe. Then there's also like smaller ones like DR, Cube has kind of fallen off as well. But essentially, there's like Korean entertainment companies that train children. They train minors from like the time that they're maybe like 14, 15, 16 up until they debut, which could be at any time. You could be 3 years later, it could be 10 years later while you're in training, but they invest a lot of money in you. They teach you whatever you need to know. They take you to school. They house you, they feed you, but you got to pay them back. They will be damned if you fuck with their money. You're not going to go out there and just do something. So we have the likes of people when they get into K-pop, they see these artists like G-Dragon or Hwasa or like J-Hope. You're killing it, girl. When he's dancing with a white foreigner, you would not be, no. These are people who have surpassed their like paybackins to the company of the training days and all of the cost of just raising them to be an artist. These are exceptions. You will find a gem that will actually have a solo debut where they have artistic control and drive for just artistic expression that has nothing to do with commercial success. We have seen some girls give us art, and then we're like, anyway, I digress. And I'm gonna also switch out my I put a pause to that. I'm gonna continue to follow my notes. And again, you just gonna have to be on this ride with me because my emotions are getting worked up the more that I continue on with this. When we get to the rehearsal, these ladies, Meg the Stallion and Teen and Billie, half of Billie, they are listening to the song. Let me calm down. The music is already done. Huh? Tell me why I didn't see these people in the studio. Are we not supposed to be okay? Maybe at this point I said maybe I misunderstood the premise of the show because I heard remixing, recreating, and these all mean different things when you're talking to different artists. Sometimes a remix is just a and then you put in your own spin at the end. Sometimes it's the artist coming back into the studio when they create a new verse. But the girls were looking at each other like this song was already done and it was already stamped and it was already good. Who did the music? Who signed it off? I know how these Korean companies can be. Who mixed the voices? I wanted to see that. I didn't want to see people in a rehearsal studio on the day of recording being like, this song that I've heard before many times during recording sessions is hitting so hard. Like it just seems so inauthentic. And also, when they were in the rehearsal, okay, because let me pause because I'm getting ahead of myself. The word synchronization from Meg the Stallion. This is where sometimes I get when people criticize Meg for being a performative fan in general. Yeah, she may be a fan, but the way that she expresses her fanness, sometimes it comes off very like, are you really with the like we kind of been like, okay. And this is where I had a problem because I was like, Megan, don't you know about K-pop? Now all of a sudden you had a problem with synchronization. Let me continue on with my notes. Megan versus choreo. Megan said, I thought everyone was walking on marshmallows and having fun and having dance parties and all that. This is like a boot camp. It takes hard work to be this cute. I did not know that. Ma'am, I'm not saying that she like doesn't know her shit, but I can see how people can say it's performative because this girl says she's a fan of K-pop. She's a fan of Asian things in general in her real life. Says this on national TV. And national, I mean Apple TV. Girl, come on. I don't like when people act ignorant. I want there to be a person to come in and say, I know what K-pop is. I know this is tough. I know an American artist, if they were to be put through this ringer, the talent would be taken out of them because the process is so strenuous that it literally drives people to like themselves. We've seen it. We've been there. We're traumatized. So I don't like it when people come in and they infantilize other artists from other nations or countries and be like, oh, I thought y'all were just sitting there pretty looking cute. But this is actually hard work, as if you didn't know that it took time and effort and money to be cute. Again, Western artists have this thing where it's like, if you feel like you got it, you really have no incentive to improve. There are literal artists that we have seen that have been singing the same, doing the same sets, not like improving, not getting good, and they still make money. And they still write on that. And even when people have requested, like, hey, maybe you need to like switch it up, maybe you need to do something different, they're like, no, I'm my own. This is what I do. But in K-pop, it's very fast paced. You got to be on trend. You got to know the things. You got to be that girl. You got to be good. And you got to strive to be better. And they're comparing your debut, your comeback with somebody else who's been in the game for a long time. That was my disappointment, was Megan acting like she ain't know what K-pop is, but she's trying to introduce K-pop to other people. Megan, you have worked with Korean artists. You literally worked with twice. And you mean to tell me, I thought you guys were having candies and lollipops and sitting on clouds and having a grand old time. Anyway, I've spent too much time on that. I'm moving on. So Megan goes over on a date with the girls, and the one note that I had on here was she ate her noodles from the bottom. I have no notes. It was kind of cute. It was giving. Okay, moving on. So we're at the performance, and the one thing that I didn't want is to make the Korean artists feel like they're the background singers, or like I didn't want it to give like the Pussycat Dolls with Nicole Shimmer 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 her, where it's like just her and then everybody else in the back. But that's exactly what it gave. Let's just start from the vibe of the song in general. The song was nice. It was very upbeat. I wouldn't say it's like K-pop. Again, I am a Gen 2 stan, so when I think of actual K-pop, I think of bubblegum pop, the SM kind of music formula where it's just like every 30 seconds you're changing a beat. It's like high and low and high and low and high, 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 high. What I did have a problem with was the outfits. Megan's costume was very different, even down to the styling of the wig. The collaboration between them was not it. Now, again, I've talked about Korean companies and how they have like a real stronghold on their artists, and you're not going to step out of line. You're not going to be expressing yourself the way that you want to. I didn't know if maybe their company had been like, they're not wearing that, they're not doing that. Did they have completely different teams where they like didn't even coordinate on outfits? It was very odd that it seemed like Megan just learned the dance that day. Why is she saying, oh, I gotta do that? Oh, do I have to synchronize? Oh, when I'm on stage, I just like walk over to the corner and I shake my ass if I forget the moves, but I have to synchronize now? Girl, this is your show. I would have loved, Megan, for you to be like, I've been preparing for this. I know how fucking difficult it is to do this shit. I'm an artist myself, but I have learned that in Korea, you got to be a group. You are one. And I've never been in a group before. And that's very interesting for me. And I've been practicing. And these are the things I'm doing to prepare myself. But we didn't get that. We got to, oh, this is so different. I'm a Western artist. If I just like want to not dance, I just don't dance. If I just don't want to sing, I just like shake my ass in the corner and I don't do anything. Got it. Thank you. Moving on. Then she goes on to say, K-pop is hard work. K-pop is hard work. Oh, so then, because me liking the song was in hindsight. While I was watching the show, I said, "Oh, I forgot. Was there even Korean words in it? Ugh, I didn't notice it, so it mustn't happen." I couldn't even trust that the show would be good enough to ever think of adding Korean words to the Koreafying of the song. You are Koreafying the song, and there's no Korean. The other half of Billie, they showed them practicing together in heels. For me, it seems like the Western icons are hearing this for the first time. But one thing that I didn't like in this episode, it was very clear to see the timelines that it probably was recorded in the same day for each of these episodes, because Patti LaBelle had the same outfit on, the yellow polka dot. It was giving. Miss Girl was looking cute, but I just kept watching this outfit throughout their segment, and I was like, this was in one day. When you watch their interactions while they're on stage, sometimes they're in their performance clothes and then other times they're in their rehearsal clothes. I just wanted to pay attention to the outfits because it was just really odd, because I was like, she's in the same shirt. They film all this in one day and y'all are still not giving me videos of the behind the scenes of the mixing of the music and deciding who gets what line and how they're going to do this collaboration and the money involved and the rights. There's some good things about the show that I'm really liking. How Patti LaBelle is approaching the Korean artist and how she's talking about her experience. Girl is a global artist. Okay, Miss Patti LaBelle, come on. This is where I start to question some things. I said, so these are being shot in rehearsal. When did the song get done? Also, the clothing coordination. So do they only get one day to do all the filming? Because it feels like they recorded the song, then had Patti stand there, and then the girls prepared the dance. Also, why isn't Patti dancing? This is K-popifying. Who's the audience here? Again, if you're going for a global audience, you have to explain that the K-popifying of a song could also mean this subgenre of ballads. Also, there's like no explanation of K-pop subgenres, which I feel like people can kind of like be a little bit more confused about what K-pop actually is when they walk away from the show, because this one song wouldn't be an example of all that we've seen K-pop evolve into, like we definitely have our bubblegum pop, we have our hard electronics, we have our Korean hip hop, but we have lots of variations, like the same way in Western music when you have subgenres and shoot offs of different like concepts and stuff like that. Yeah, they didn't really do a good job of explaining how deep K-pop actually goes. Moving on, I felt like the coordination between Patti and the other Billie ladies were actually less anxiety. They were all vibing. The clothes were age appropriate for Patti and for the girls. Like the girls were sexy, and even Miss Patti had a tailored suit. It had this beautiful flower. It was black. It looked satin. Her hair was laid. The makeup was cute. She was in heels. She was standing up there. And at first, I was like, I really wanted to see Miss Patti Labelle dance, but I'm stupid. So that would have been a disaster. That is not who Miss Patti is. She can jive, but definitely it would have looked a little bit crazy for her to be up there doing what the K-pop girlies were doing. She looked great, standing up there in her beautiful suit, doing what Patti LaBelle does best, which is singing her ass off. And she did. She hit that high note, and so did Billie. Typically, when we listen to K-pop fans don't like to admit it, but some of our girls and some of our boys don't have a voice. Their voices are not good. They're just talking. It's really nice to hear the mic be on and to hear the voices of such talented artists. It's just nice to see them give an example of those good voices, those people who do work on strengthening their vocal cords and hitting those high notes and, not being tone deaf. With that, I will critique again and say that I did not hear any Korean. So again, I'm questioning who the target audience is. I wrote again that it feels like Nicole from the Pussycat Dolls and then everybody else. After the competition is done, Psy comes on the screen. That's my boy. And he's like, okay, it's time to vote. If you want to vote for Make the Stallion, you have to vote gold on your little light stick. And then if you want Miss Patti LaBelle and the girls have to vote purple. Of course, Savage won. I personally preferred the Lady Marmalade. I feel like the vibe of the stage and the girls felt more K-pop girl group versus like when Megan came on, it felt more like a feature. It didn't feel like Megan was one of the girls. It just wasn't giving girl group the way that I would have hoped it would have gave, because we are K-popifying these things, okay? I just want us to keep in mind and respect the premise of what the show told us it was going to be. Last but not least, let's not be disrespectful. This is episode 1. Let's not be disrespectful. How dare you use a Korean artist's performance as an outro? How dare you have credits rolling, Apple TV, Meg the Stallion, while a Korean artist is performing for the first time for a global audience on the show? If it was like Ending Fairies, which we did not have any, if it was like the girls are, we're just tossing balloons, but you are rolling credits while the girls are dancing on the floor, while the girls are doing their things. That is so disrespectful. And I hope to God somebody got a clue in their brain during edits that why would you do? We are watching Apple TV, the way that it does it, right? You're watching the show and it's rolling the credits while these heavily respected Korean artists are doing their thing. Then has the audacity to want to allow you to skip 5 seconds. Have we not heard of a black screen? Have we not heard of increasing the time where you say, hey, it's time for the outro? If there is one thing that I can take to a Western production company and be like, this is the one thing that I ask that you do not do, is put their performances as an outro when it's the first time the people are hearing of this song or this performance on the show. If Meg was redoing the music, not even with Meg, nobody should ever be the outro when they're doing their first performance on the show for their own song. This is a special stage. This is a global stage. And you have the girls do an outro. Don't be disrespectful. Don't be fucking disrespectful. And then you have the icon artists come and like interrupt the freaking the roll credits. So the girls are in the middle of their performance. Not only do you have them in an outro, but then you also have the Western artists come and interrupt the dance while they're doing it during the outro that is being put in the top right corner and then offering you a skip. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to leave that there because I don't think I can say anymore. But that best did not happen in season 2. That was so disgraceful. That was so ugly. Like, why didn't anybody catch this? You don't do that. And also, where were our ending fairies? Where were our close-ups saying the names of the ladies just to remind everybody? Nowhere. Who is this show for? Is this show to give these icons, these Western icons, money? Is that really what this is? Somebody needed to buy something, so let's make a show and we're gonna exploit the K-pop fans? Because that's, I didn't really see much K-popathon. Who makes the music? Who decided on the lyrics? Who wrote it? I want to see that. I want that exposed. I want people to know what the Korean companies are doing and how they manage their artists. I also want Korean fans to understand what happens over there on the Western side. Show a woman in power and she says, actually, I don't think that verse is good for the ladies. I think we need to change it up a little bit. I would love to have had the behind the scenes of the people making the K-pop music to show the producers that were involved. Are they actually Korean producers, or is this just an American who's being like, okay, what's a K-pop sound? I would have liked to see who was behind making the music. I want to see the contracts. I want to see what it took to be like, okay, you're going to work with Kepler. Oh, you're going to work with ATEEZ. Oh, you're going to work with Black Swan. Oh, you're going to work with ITZY. I want to see JY Poppy be like, my girl's not going to talk. My girl's not going to curse. My girl's not going to do that. We don't do that in Korea. I would have rather seen those conversations. I got nothing. I got nothing. As a fan of Korean music, as a fan of Korean culture, as a fan of Korean cinema, I can give a laundry list of, as a fan of Korean whatever have you. I do not feel like Korea was represented outside of just the girls being there. I didn't see it. Y'all ate ramen. What does that have to do with K-pop? That was episode 1, y'all. That was episode 1. And when I tell you, this is a C minus. For I've seen worse show. I've watched Zeus. I'm giving it a C minus. I had so many notes and I just condensed them to what I did. I don't even know if half of this that I'm going to complain about is going to make it into the video, but definitely I was very disappointed. I didn't know I could be more disappointed in a show. I'm even getting a little bit more upset now that I'm like reliving having watched that. Maybe I'm being too critical too. Like, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to like grow. I really like Megan. Like, I paid to go see her in concert. I'm just really disappointed in the Amira centric narrative, the lack of showing actual true collaboration, the lack of explanation for some of the cultural and social reasons why the Korean artists have to be perfect. Because it was just kind of given like, we don't do that in the West. Not like, oh, we don't do that in the West. Let's maybe talk about why. Let's maybe, and it doesn't have to be dark and depressing. You could just literally say, here in Korea, the Korean companies really invest in their artists and make sure that they get the training that they need. Whereas in America, it's optional. Like, you could have really done that, and I think that like the global population or whoever's going to stumble on the show, whether it's a fan or it's somebody who just likes you, Megan, like, it would have been so simple, so cute to just do something, just like treating people like they're not children. I'm gonna watch episode 2. I'm gonna see what it gives, and if it gives what I like, then you may see me back. If it does not, this will be the one episode. This will be the one episode upload. Yeah, and I'm really watching it because I stan ITZY, and I really want to watch it all the way up until Black Swan because I also stan Black Swan. So if you see me, you see me. If you don't, you don't. Catch you some other time. Bye.